So how does funding pips stack up against the rest of the prop firms out there? Well, in today's video, we're going to be doing an unbiased review on funding pips to see how they stack up. I do want to state that this is an unbiased review. We have not been paid. We do not have an affiliate link with them. This is just our opinion. We are looking at their rules, everything about their whole prop firm, about the company, about the challenges, everything we're going to take into consideration and give our honest opinion on this company. So make sure you stick around till the end so you can see exactly how we rate them based on 3 different categories, which will be number 1, their challenges, number 2, the company in general, and number 3, their unique perks, anything they do differently that might stand out against the rest of the prop firms. With that being said, guys, let's jump in and get straight to this review. Okay, so let's go straight to the challenge. So first thing to talk about is they don't have MetaTrader 4 or MetaTrader 5. You've got to trade with MatchTrader, CTrader, or TradeLocker. The other important thing is they do allow people from the United States, but you can only trade with MatchTrader if you're from the United States. So I did see a lot of people on different platforms saying that they don't allow people from the United States. That's not true. They do allow. I actually checked with their support and they said if you're from the United States, you will just be restricted to using MatchTrader. Okay, so USA can use these guys, but you are restricted to MatchTrader. Very important. Okay, so they offer a 1-step, a 2-step, and a 3-step challenge. We're going to basically be looking at the 2-step because that's what we look at across the board. For all of our other reviews, we've pretty much always looked at the 2-step. That was the original. So we're going to just stick to that to make sure it's fair across the board. And then we're going to be looking at what else? Okay, so for the 2-step, they offer a 5K, a 10K, a 25K, a 50K, and 100K. Now, they don't offer any higher than the 100K, which is surprising because the kind of standard now is 200K. Effexify actually goes all the way up to 400. You can sign up for a 400K directly. And these guys, the max allocation, I think is 300,000. Yes, 300,000 is the max allocation for these guys. But then you do have a scaling plan, which I will talk about in a bit as well. Okay, so a little bit lower, not necessarily a bad thing. I'm not going to knock them back because they don't offer a 200K. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It just means that you've just got to take it slower, which I think is what they want. Okay, so let's go straight into it. Evaluation stage, they have phase 1, which they call student. They have phase 2, which they call practitioner, and then master, which is their funded. Okay, so let's have a look at the rules. First off, trading period is unlimited, which is kind of your standard now. And then minimum trading days is 0. So you have no trading days that you have to, minimum trading, you can trade 1 day. If you pass, you can go on to the next. But I did see that there is a wait time between that. So just make sure you understand that. From my research, it's like 24 hours before you can actually go on to the phase 2 or the practitioner. And then once you pass the practitioner, it's like a 48 hours, possibly even more, to actually get the funded account. So make sure you are aware of that. Okay, so moving on, your max daily loss is 5%, which is pretty much the industry standard. Your max loss is your 10%, which is industry standard. And then profit target is 8% on phase 1 and 5% on phase 2. Again, I would say that is standard. Some of them are still holding on to the 10%. Your Effexify, your FTMO are 10% profit target. So this is good. And you don't want to be too low because I think if it gets too easy, that is also a red flag. So I think 8% is a good middle ground. So I think that's a good thing. Leverage is good across the board. So on phase 1, phase 2 and funded is 100, but worth noting that it is 100 for Forex. Metals is 1 to 30, indices 1 to 20, energies 1 to 10, and then crypto 1 to 2. Okay, so 1 to 100 is the Forex. Very important to note that. But I think again, that is your standard across most of the prop firms. But 1 to 100 is good leverage. Then what else can we talk about there? So then the next thing I want to talk about is they do allow trading news on phase 1 and phase 2. In the master, in the funded, they say that you are allowed trading news, but it's not that you are allowed to trade news. It's basically that if you are a swing trader, as long as you are already in a trade way before that news hits, that's okay. So it's something that you have got to make sure that you understand that rule before going into this. Okay, so I would say don't trade. If you are a day trader, make sure you're not trading news, just to be on the safe side when it comes to a funded account. Okay, and then the final thing I want to talk about when it comes to the actual challenge is the drawdown, the type of drawdown these guys use. So a lot of people always ask us to make sure that we mention the drawdown. These guys are balance and or equity-based drawdown. So it means that whichever one hits first, that's the one that they'll choose, which I don't really like. I don't like that it's one or the other. I would rather them just choose one and say, we're balance-based drawdown or we are equity-based. So I don't really like that, but it is what it is. That's how they roll. So just make sure that when you are trading that you understand what each of those is. Watch my previous video because I actually talk about balance-based drawdown and equity-based drawdown. So if you want to understand that, make sure you check that out. So that's it for the challenge, guys. The challenge for me is pretty much standard. It's kind of similar to some of the firms that I would say we've given about a 6.5, 7. But I am going to give these guys a little bit more just because they recently brought out an announcement which they were talking about a weekly withdrawal. So you can now withdraw with these guys on a weekly basis. So this is still very new, but based on the concept alone, I'm going to add an extra 1, but I am going to drop an extra 0.5 because in the same announcement, they said that they are actually going to start becoming very strict against your gambler type traders. But that does kind of, open the door for them just saying that we are basically going to be not allowing payouts. We're going to be turning down withdrawals. So I don't like that part of it. So I'm going to give these guys on the challenge and the rules around their challenge a 7.5 out of 10. Okay, so next up, we're going to be talking about the company itself. So let's first look at how old the company is. The company was established back in November 2022, so still a fairly young company. They are based out of Dubai, the UAE, which I think there's a lot of companies kind of going that way now. And then liquidity providers, as I said before, are MatchTrader, CTrader, and TradeLocker. US clients can only use MatchTrader. So I did mention that before, okay? So, and then from the research I did do, their CEO and owner goes by the name of Khaled. I'm not sure what the surname is. I think you can find him on Twitter. Now, he seems to be fairly active. Don't see anything, too kind of out there in terms of shouting out, his lifestyle and stuff like that, which you see some of the other kind of red flag type companies do. So from that point of view, it all seems okay. Fairly young guy, but we can't really say that that's a bad thing. I don't know what his experience is in terms of business and stuff. So, and they've been around since 2022, and from what I've seen, their payout results have been very good. But based on that announcement they recently released, that is going to change. They are now going to start, cutting people's withdrawals or turning down people's withdrawals based on their trading style and how they trade. So that is going to change. And I have already started to see a kind of a fallout effect of that. I did notice recently there was this article come up where they're talking about prop trading firm Funding Pips Trustpilot profile page was suspended soon after that article came out, because I think there was a lot of social media, a lot of talk around social media, a lot of people moaning about it. They were suspended, but they are back up now. So I just wanted to make sure that I touch base on this. I think this is just something Trustpilot's side. Talking about Trustpilot, let's have a quick look at their reviews. On Trustpilot, they have a 4.6 rating with 10,000, just over 10,000 total reviews, which is it's a fairly good reviews. That's pretty good. They've got 6% 1 star, only 1% or less than 1%, slightly, let's call it 1% 2 stars, but about 6% of 1 star. So not sure what the 1 star people were saying. Account closed without clearance, complete scam. So it's difficult to read based on these, because sometimes these are very specific to whatever the situation was, and if their account was closed, whatever the situation was, they're bound to be salty and they're bound to jump over here and give them negative reviews. So I'm not going to read into those, because they're just the same way I can read all the 5-star reviews, which are the opposite, right? Really good reviews, shouting these guys out. From my side, I think the Trustpilot review looks good. They are a younger company. The other thing I do want to mention, I did go onto their support Their support responded fairly quickly. They have got like AI support as well. So for your basic issues that can be answered by AI, that's almost instant. So that's cool that they've got that. But then if there is anything else, they say up to 20 minutes is the wait time. My wait time, I think, was about 14 minutes. I did actually speak to someone in regards to an issue I made up just because I wanted to actually chat to someone. But it was about 14 minutes, so not bad. Their support was very quick. And like I did mention, up till this point, up until the point that they actually announced the new kind of rules that they're bringing in to basically weed out all the bad traders or all the gamble style traders, they had a very good payout record. I think from what they said is they hadn't refused any payouts since they opened. Whether that's true or not, I'm not sure, but if that is true, that is pretty amazing. But I think that is about to change. Now, there is a lot of people after I actually did a video on Funding Pips when I was talking about this specific announcement. So if you want to watch that, go back and have a look. But I was talking about the fact that these guys are kind of like laying the foundation to, you know, other prop firms maybe following suit. And it's not necessarily a bad thing that they are weeding out the bad. It's just how do they do that? And I said back then that that's going to be interesting. And there did seem to be a bit of a backlash as a result of that, to the point that Trustpilot actually kind of suspended their reviews coming in. Because I think the reason they did that is because it obviously was leading to higher than normal bad reviews, which I think Trustpilot maybe saw as not fair on Funding Pips. So they kind of just, you know, did that. But I don't know, whatever the situation is, these guys are looking at making changes. But a lot of people did comment on that video, you know, oh, this is the start of the end. People thinking that the fact that these guys are now bringing this in, it's almost like an excuse. It's almost like the second any company makes any announcement, it's like the start of something bad. So if that is the case, I don't know. You know, that's a lot of people's opinion that Funding Pips maybe now is kind of heading down the same road. But it's very difficult to say, and I'm not going to say that. I'm just saying what the chatter was on my video. But it's still early days, guys. You know, I think one of two things are happening here. These guys are genuinely trying to lead the prop firm in a new direction, being a bit more strict, because being strict is not necessarily a bad thing. You know, getting all those traders out, getting the guys that are cheating, whatever they're doing, getting them out is not a bad thing. But at the same time, it's like, why are they doing it, right? Is it so that they can make more? At the end of the day, it is all about money, you know. But taking everything into account, I can't really judge on something that might happen. I can only judge the facts and everything that is in front of me. Trustpilot reviews are good. Their support was very good. They seem to be trying to make good changes. Whether or not that is for, I don't know what the reason is. Like I said, I've got to only judge on what I see. So for me, based on the company, they are still young. They've only been around for a couple of years. Young CEO, young owner, which, you know, normally we would kind of knock them down a little bit for. But in general, they've had a good reputation. Everything seems to be good so far. But I'm going to go with a 7 out of 10 on company, just based on what I've seen, based on how they are running things. I've not really seen too much from the owner in terms of like showboating and stuff, which is a good thing. He's keeping, you know, low profile. I might be wrong. If you guys have seen something, please let me know. But from what I have seen, it's you know, his Twitter page is more kind of, you know, business. So that's a good thing. So for me, I'm going to stick with a 7 out of 10 for company. And by the way, if you would like to pass a prop firm challenge and get funded over 100K or more worth of trading capital without ever having to take a manual trade, then make sure you check out the link below, www.propfarming.com. Over the past 4 years, we've dumped over $2 million in developing what we think is the best AI trading system for passing prop firm challenges. And we've now helped over 800 traders become funded traders as a result. And in fact, we're so confident in our system that if you do not get funded, you do not pay a cent. So make sure you go to www.propfarming.com and watch the demo for more information. Okay, so finally, we're going to be looking at any unique perks that these guys offer. And the first one I have to mention, obviously, is the weekly payout, because that's a big one, right? Being able to get paid every single week. Now they're doing it every Tuesday. So every Tuesday you can get paid. So if you start an account, your funded account on Tuesday in the morning, you make your payout. As long as it's still Tuesday, you can actually already request your payout. If it's Monday, you essentially only got to wait 1 day. So every Tuesday you can request a payout, which is a big one. Now, obviously this will depend very much on how quickly the process actually works. So once you request your payout on Tuesday, how quickly are they actually releasing your new credentials to continue trading? That is important, because if it's within 24 hours, I think that's a good thing. Get your payment the next day, you're trading again, that's a good thing. But if there is big delays with that, or there is, because I don't know what the situation is now, because they are also talking about specifically reviewing traders and how they trade. Does that mean every time you request a payout, there's going to be a long sort of, review period? That if it takes a week, then essentially it's not a weekly payout, it goes back to 2 weeks, right? But this is important. It's something that we need to kind of just review on that level alone. Just look at the every week until we actually have more information about how it's going, because it's still very new. But based on that, that's a very good thing. Hopefully it does actually play out really well. So the next one I'll talk about is their scaling plan, which looks pretty interesting. It looks a little bit complex, but it looks pretty straightforward at the same time. So let's talk about that first. So once you get funded, you basically, once you make 10% through 4 payouts, so you have to get 4 payouts, which essentially based on their weekly payouts, you could do in a month, right? So this, because they don't talk about anything about time frame. So you could potentially do this in a month, 2.5% every week. You're hitting that 10%, that's 4 payouts, right? So then they will increase your account size by 20%. Now that's called the launchpad level. Then you'll go on to the ascender level, which you basically have to go 20%. Now I think this is in addition to the previous 10%. So I think it's 10%, then you go 20%, and the 20% is after 8 payouts. Now I'm not sure if this means that you've got to hit 20% after that, because that'll be quite difficult. I think how it would be, to me, what makes sense is it's 10% and then you carry on from there. So from the 10, 20% once you hit the 20%, so it's continuing from your previous level, okay? Then what'll happen is they'll increase your account size by 30%. Oh, and you get these perks every time. So once you hit launchpad, they increase your drawdown by 1%, which is cool. Once you hit the ascender level, your maximum drawdown again is increased by 1%. So you now have an extra 2% drawdown, and your daily drawdown is increased by 1. So you now have 6% daily, which is really cool. Then you'll go on to the Trailblazer, which upon reaching advanced trader status after 12 payouts. So now you've got to go 12 payouts and 30%. Again, I think this is just continuing from the previous. Your capital allocation will be increased by 40%, okay? And then your maximum drawdown will be increased by 1%. So now essentially your maximum drawdown will be sitting on 13%, right? And then you'll go to the final, which is the hot seat. After 16 payouts and a total profit of 40%, you will go to this pinnacle, which is the elite trader, okay? Now this exclusive status offers an array of premium benefits. They'll double the initial balance. So you'll double your initial balance, which means, I think the initial ones, if it's 100,000, they will add 200,000, I think, from what I understand. And then you get all of these perks on top of that as well. Access to on-demand payouts. So you can essentially get payouts whenever you want, daily if you want, right? Now, again, this all does come down to how long the process actually lasts. Now, one would think if you've got to the hot seat, they're no longer really reviewing your trades, because at this point they trust you as a trader, right? You would think that. So maybe the review process is not going to take so long there. You will also get a 90% profit split, potential to access up to 2 million in capital. Maximum drawdown is increased by 1, totaling 4%, and your daily is increased by 1, which is now going to be on a 7% daily, right? So there we go. And then you potentially will get monthly bonuses as well. So that's cool. Their scaling plan is very cool, and it's something I've not seen. I have seen scaling plans, but I've not really seen the scaling plans with the additional perks and benefits. So it gives you something to work for. So whether or not anyone's going to reach that is in question with their new kind of reviewing every trader to see how you trade. Whether or not anyone's ever going to reach this status will be interesting, but it's an interesting perk, and it's a really cool feature that they have. So for that, I'm going to give these guys a 7.5 out of 10. So that's their ratings for me, guys. 7 out of 10 for the unique perks. So there you have it, guys. Total for me out of the 3 categories is about a a 7.3 out of 10. Overall, these guys perform really well. Everything looks good. They've been in the business not so long, but in the time that they have been in the business, they seem to be doing a good job. Now, the thing is, this is a review that is based on right now, but I think there is a lot to come in the future. There is a lot of talk around funding pips. A lot of the people that are currently with them, from what I've seen, you get a lot of people that are completely like, funding pips is brilliant, I've never had an issue. And I am also starting to see some people moan a little bit more, but whether or not this is just the people that are doing some shady things with their trading and are getting weeded out, you know, it's difficult to tell. So I don't want to really take that into account right now. I will be doing a kind of a updated review maybe in a few months with funding pips, so we can see how this all plays out. But for now, 7.3 out of 10. That's my rating for these guys. They seem to be all right. I'd love to know your opinion though, guys. Make sure you put your what would you rate these guys overall in the comment section. I do also get a lot of people asking about spreads. I did look at their spreads. They say that they've got raw spreads, so I didn't mention that, but I just want to say that now because I know I always get a comment about the spreads. Spreads seem to be very good, and I've not seen anyone really moaning about spreads, so that I did also take into account in the whole thing. So that's it, guys. That's from me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys found value in that. Would love to hear your comments as well. Now, if you haven't subscribed already, guys, make sure you do subscribe, because this is the kind of content you will find. You'll find us doing reviews on prop firms, not only reviews, but we are going to be talking a lot more about prop firms, how you can get funded, things to look out for, red flags, stuff like that, which I've already posted, but also talking about our very own prop farming blueprint and our EA called Titan, which passes prop firms for you. So make sure you are subscribed so you catch all of that. With that being said, guys, we'll see you in the next review video. Bye for now.